Have you ever noticed how your legs feel weaker than they used to, or how simple things like climbing stairs leave you out of breath? Maybe you chalk it up to just getting older, but what if that's not the whole story? Many seniors quietly struggle with muscle loss and fatigue, thinking it's inevitable with age. The truth is, it's a lot more complicated, and surprisingly, some everyday habits might be silently making it worse. Most people don't realize how much their diet and lifestyle choices affect heart health and muscle strength over time. It's easy to overlook these small signs until they become big problems that limit your freedom and independence. But here's the good news. By understanding the hidden factors behind these changes, you can take simple steps to protect your heart and keep your strength longer than you thought possible. In this video, I'm going to share with you 9 common vegetables that might be hurting your heart quietly, along with heart-smart alternatives that are gentle and nourishing. Stick around until the end, because I'll also reveal the single most important habit seniors can adopt to keep their heart strong and their bodies feeling young. Let's walk this journey together. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Beets, high in oxalates that may harm kidneys and heart vessels. Let's start with something many of us have in our kitchens. A few fresh beets sitting in the crisper, waiting to be sliced into a salad or roasted for dinner. For years, beets have been celebrated as a superfood. You might have even heard your doctor or a health magazine say, "Eat more beets, they're good for your blood pressure." So it's no surprise if you've made beets a regular part of your weekly menu, maybe blending them into your morning smoothie or tossing them into a soup. But have you ever found yourself feeling unusually tired after a healthy meal, or noticed some aching in your back, thinking it was just a normal part of aging? Maybe you've even struggled with kidney stones or a little swelling in your feet, and simply blamed it on getting older. Here's the question. What if that nagging discomfort, that little twinge you brush off, isn't just age catching up with you? What if it's something in the very foods you trust most, quietly working against you over time? Most people believe that vegetables, especially ones as vibrant and earthy as beets, can only do good. But the reality is a little more complicated, especially for seniors. Beets are packed with nutrients, yes, but they're also very high in a natural substance called oxalates. Oxalates are like tiny crystals found in certain plants, and while our bodies can usually handle a small amount, too much can start to build up, particularly in the kidneys and blood vessels. Over time, this can quietly contribute to the formation of kidney stones and even affect your heart's health by encouraging calcium buildup in your arteries. You see, as we age, our bodies process these compounds less efficiently. What started as a healthy habit, adding beets to your meals for that beautiful color and earthy flavor, can turn into a hidden risk, especially for people who already have trouble with kidney function or circulation. Many seniors are surprised to learn that those same beets, when eaten in large amounts or too frequently, can make them feel achy, fatigued, or even cause swelling and pain that they chalk up to just getting older. So what's the gentle, practical solution? You don't have to give up beets forever or treat them like forbidden food. The key is moderation and balance. If you love beets, enjoy them as an occasional treat, maybe once or twice a week, rather than every day. Try pairing them with foods that are low in oxalates, such as cauliflower, mushrooms, or cucumbers, to keep your overall oxalate intake in check. And don't forget the power of staying well hydrated. Drinking plenty of water helps flush out those tiny oxalate crystals before they have a chance to settle in your kidneys or blood vessels. One more tip that's both easy and effective. If you've had a history of kidney stones or your doctor has warned you about kidney or heart health, consider steaming or boiling your beets instead of eating them raw. Cooking can reduce the oxalate content, making beets a little gentler on your body. Let me share a quick story. There's a woman named Eleanor, a 74-year-old grandmother from Ohio. She'd always prided herself on eating clean, and often made beet salads for herself and her husband. But after a scare with kidney stones and some persistent swelling in her ankles, Eleanor's doctor asked her about her diet. When she mentioned all the beets, her doctor gently explained the oxalate connection. By cutting back to eating beets just once a week and drinking more water, Eleanor's symptoms improved dramatically. She didn't have to give up the food she loved. She just found a new balance that worked for her body. If you're watching this and recognizing your habits, don't be discouraged. It's never too late to make a small change for your health. Remember, every little step, like adjusting how often you eat certain vegetables, can add up to big improvements over time. You deserve to enjoy food that nourishes your body without hidden risks. So be kind to your kidneys, gentle on your heart, and keep moving forward, one mindful choice at a time. 2. Fried or processed potatoes. It's a familiar scene in so many American homes. Whether you're out with friends for a burger and fries, sitting down to a family meal with mashed potatoes, or just reaching for a bag of potato chips while watching TV. Potatoes, especially when fried or processed, are comfort food for generations. They're crisp, golden, warm, and bring back memories of picnics, Sunday dinners, or that simple pleasure of sharing snacks with grandchildren. For many seniors, these foods aren't just meals, they're little bites of nostalgia, reminders of family gatherings and good times. But have you ever noticed that after eating fried potatoes, you feel heavy, a bit sluggish, or even experience a strange pounding in your chest? Maybe you've chalked it up to age, thinking, well, I just can't eat like I used to. But what if that after-meal tiredness, the swelling in your ankles, or that late-night indigestion isn't just part of getting older? What if something about the way these potatoes are prepared is quietly putting extra strain on your heart? Most people assume potatoes themselves are harmless, even healthy, if you leave the skin on. But it's the frying, the extra salt, and the way processed potatoes are made that can spell trouble, especially for those over 65. Here's the simple truth. When potatoes are fried, they soak up a lot of oil, often the unhealthy kind that's high in saturated or even trans fats. These fats sneak into your bloodstream and raise your LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol. Over time, this can clog arteries and make your heart work harder than it should. Processed potatoes, like frozen fries, boxed mashed potatoes, or chips, are often packed with added sodium and preservatives to keep them fresh and tasty. The problem is, too much sodium pulls water into your blood vessels, raising your blood pressure and putting more pressure on your heart and kidneys. For older adults, whose bodies are less efficient at getting rid of extra salt, this can quietly contribute to swelling, headaches, or even dangerous spikes in blood pressure. So what's the gentle, everyday solution? You don't have to give up potatoes altogether or swear off every family cookout. The secret lies in how you prepare and enjoy them. Start by swapping fried potatoes for baked or steamed ones, and skip the processed, ready-made potato products as much as possible. Try roasting potato wedges at home with a sprinkle of olive oil and your favorite herbs instead of deep frying. This simple change cuts down the unhealthy fats and lets you control the amount of salt. Another easy tip: if you love mashed potatoes, make them from scratch using real potatoes, a splash of milk, and a dab of butter, instead of instant mixes full of additives. Or, try mixing in some sweet potatoes, which have more fiber and vitamins, for an even healthier side dish. Let me tell you about Mr. Harold, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Indiana. For years, Harold's nightly ritual included a generous bowl of potato chips as he watched the news. But after a minor heart scare, his doctor suggested tracking his sodium and fat intake. With some encouragement, Harold started baking his potato chips in the oven. Just thin slices of potato, brushed with olive oil, and a pinch of sea salt. He found they were just as satisfying, and over time, his blood pressure improved, and the heaviness in his chest faded away. The truth is, little changes can make a big difference. You don't have to give up your favorite foods. Just enjoy them in new, heart-smart ways. If you notice your energy dipping or your ankles swelling after your favorite potato dish, see it as your body's gentle nudge to try something different. Every choice matters, especially as we age. So next time you're craving that taste of home, remember, it's not the potatoes themselves, but how they're prepared. You deserve meals that bring you comfort and keep your heart strong for years to come. Don't be afraid to try something new in the kitchen. You might just discover a new family favorite that's as good for your heart as it is for your memories. 3. Kale contains goitrogens affecting the thyroid, which can indirectly impact heart health. Think back for a moment. How many times have you heard that kale is a superfood? Maybe you remember seeing it on the cover of health magazines at the grocery store, or hearing friends talk about their morning green smoothies packed with kale. For a lot of us, kale seemed to appear out of nowhere, and suddenly it was everywhere, from trendy restaurants to the produce aisle, right into our kitchens. Maybe you even felt a little pressure to add it to your meals because everyone said it was the secret to staying healthy as you age. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But let's be honest. Have you ever started eating more kale because you wanted to do something good for your body, only to find yourself feeling strangely tired, a little foggy, or just off in ways you couldn't quite explain? Maybe your heart felt like it was racing or skipping a beat, or you noticed you were colder than usual, or had a sense of fatigue that just didn't match your effort. Most people chalk that up to just getting older. But here's the twist. What if it isn't just age, but something in that very superfood everyone is raving about? Kale is indeed full of vitamins and minerals, and for many people, it can be part of a healthy diet. But there's something most folks don't realize. Kale contains natural compounds called goitrogens. These goitrogens can interfere with your thyroid, the little gland at the base of your neck that acts like your body's thermostat, controlling energy, temperature, and even your heartbeat. As we get older, our thyroid naturally becomes more sensitive, and for some seniors, even small changes in diet can tip the balance. When the thyroid slows down, you might feel sluggish, gain weight, or even notice changes in your heartbeat. All things that can quietly impact your heart's health over time. Science shows that in people who are already prone to low thyroid function, something very common in people over 65, eating large amounts of goitrogenic vegetables, like kale, cabbage, and broccoli, can make those symptoms worse. It doesn't mean kale is bad, but it does mean that more is not always better, and what works for one person might not be right for another. Sometimes, the very foods we reach for in hopes of staying young and strong need to be enjoyed in balance, not in excess. So what's the gentle, easy solution? If you love kale, you don't have to banish it from your kitchen. Moderation and preparation are key. Try eating kale just a couple of times a week instead of every day. And when you do, lightly cook it. Steaming or sautéing kale helps break down some of the goitrogens, making it easier for your thyroid and heart to handle. And don't be afraid to mix things up. Swap in spinach, arugula, or baby lettuces for your salads and sandwiches. Let me share a quick story. Margaret, a 69-year-old from North Carolina, prided herself on her healthy eating. She started every day with a green smoothie loaded with raw kale. But over time, she noticed she was feeling more tired, her hands were colder, and she had a fluttering heartbeat that left her uneasy. Her doctor ran a thyroid test and found her levels were dropping. With just a few simple swaps, eating kale cooked and only a few times a week, and enjoying a wider variety of greens, Margaret felt her old energy return. Her heartbeat steadied, and she found joy in discovering new recipes. If this sounds familiar, don't be discouraged or blame yourself for trying to do the right thing. Nutrition is never one size fits all, especially as we age. Remember, the goal is to feel good, stay strong, and enjoy the food you eat without worry. A little awareness and a few gentle adjustments can keep your thyroid and your heart happy for years to come. So be proud of taking charge of your health. Small changes, like varying your greens and listening to your body, can make a world of difference. You deserve to feel your best every single day. 4. Tomatoes, overripe or canned versions, often have high sodium and acids that cause inflammation. Tomatoes have always held a special place in the American kitchen. Whether it's thick slices layered on a summer sandwich, a bubbling pot of homemade spaghetti sauce, or that familiar can of tomatoes waiting in the pantry for a quick dinner, tomatoes are as much a part of our memories as our meals. Maybe you grew up with a backyard garden, picking plum tomatoes right off the vine, or maybe you still love adding them to your salads or stews. They're so common, so colorful, and so full of flavor that most of us never stop to wonder, could something so familiar ever do us harm? But think about it for a moment. Have you ever noticed that after a rich pasta meal or a tomato-heavy soup, your stomach feels unsettled, or you're reaching for your antacids a little more often? Maybe your joints ache a bit more, or you feel puffy and bloated the next morning. Most people brush off these feelings, blaming old age, spicy food, or even the weather. But what if that discomfort isn't just a sign of getting older? What if it's your body quietly reacting to a hidden problem inside some of your favorite tomato dishes? The truth is, while tomatoes themselves are a good source of vitamins and antioxidants, not all tomatoes are created equal, especially as we age. Overripe tomatoes, and more importantly, canned or processed tomatoes, are often loaded with sodium and contain higher levels of natural acids. That salt keeps canned tomatoes tasting fresh on the shelf for months, but it also means every bite comes with a big dose of sodium, far more than most people realize. For seniors, whose bodies don't process salt as efficiently as they once did, that extra sodium can lead to water retention, swelling, and increased blood pressure, quietly straining the heart over time. But it's not just the salt. Tomatoes, especially when overripe or concentrated in sauces and pastes, are high in natural acids that can irritate the lining of your stomach and, in some people, trigger low-level inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation, over time, is now known to play a role in everything from aching joints to the gradual hardening of arteries. It's one of those invisible threats that can quietly chip away at your heart health without ever making a big scene. So what can you do, especially if you love the taste of tomatoes? There's no need to give them up entirely. The key is to choose wisely and prepare them with care. Fresh, ripe, not overripe, tomatoes, especially those you slice yourself, are usually much lower in sodium than anything from a can or jar. When you do buy canned tomatoes, look for no salt-added versions and always read the label. Rinse canned tomatoes under water to remove some of the extra salt, or try making your sauce at home so you can control how much sodium goes in. And if you sometimes get heartburn or joint aches after eating tomato-heavy meals, try mixing in other vegetables, like bell peppers, carrots, or zucchini, to mellow out the acidity in your sauces and soups. Sometimes, just adding a pinch of baking soda to your tomato sauce can neutralize some of the acid without changing the flavor. Let me tell you about Grace, a 76-year-old from Wisconsin. She loved her tomato soup lunches, especially in the winter, but noticed she always felt bloated and achy afterward. At her doctor's suggestion, she switched to using fresh tomatoes and low-sodium broth, cut back on canned varieties, and started blending in carrots for sweetness. The change was remarkable. Not only did her soup taste better, but she felt lighter, less swollen, and had more energy for her afternoon walks. The lesson here is simple. Familiar foods sometimes hide risks that only show up as we get older. But with small adjustments, you can still enjoy all your favorites, just with a little extra care. You've spent a lifetime making memories around the table, and you deserve to keep those traditions alive while taking care of your heart at the same time. Trust your body, listen to its gentle messages, and don't be afraid to make changes that help you feel your best every day. 5. Radishes stimulate excess stomach acid, causing strain on the heart. Radishes may seem like a simple pleasure. They're crisp, peppery, and add a little snap to salads and sandwiches. For many, they bring back memories of summer picnics, farmers markets, or a loved one's vegetable garden. Perhaps you remember watching someone, maybe even yourself, plucking a bunch of fresh radishes from the soil, rinsing them off, and slicing them into a colorful bowl. Their bright color and refreshing crunch have always made them feel like a healthy, innocent addition to any meal. But have you ever noticed that after enjoying a few radishes, You sometimes feel a burning or heaviness in your stomach, or a flutter in your chest. Maybe you write it off as a little indigestion, just another part of getting older, or something you ate with the radishes. It's easy to shrug off these little discomforts, thinking, it's nothing, just my age. But what if these subtle signals are your body's quiet way of asking for help, a nudge to pay attention to foods you've always thought were harmless? The truth is, while radishes are packed with vitamins and antioxidants, they also have a natural kick that can be a bit too much for aging stomachs. Radishes, especially when eaten raw or in larger quantities, are known to stimulate the stomach's acid production. For younger bodies, this isn't usually a big deal. But as we get older, our digestive systems can become more sensitive, and excess acid can lead to heartburn, discomfort, and even pressure that's felt up to the chest. What many don't realize is that frequent bouts of stomach acid, especially after eating certain foods, can create a chain reaction. Discomfort leads to stress. Stress can cause your heart to race or flutter, and over time, this pattern quietly strains your heart. Science now tells us that the connection between our gut and our heart is stronger than most of us ever imagined. When the stomach is irritated, the body's stress response can raise blood pressure and put more work on the heart. For seniors, who might already be managing blood pressure or heart rhythm concerns, this can be a hidden risk that's easy to miss. So what's the gentle solution? You don't need to ban radishes from your plate forever. The secret is to enjoy them in moderation and consider how you prepare them. Try eating smaller amounts, just a few slices as a garnish rather than a main part of your salad. If you love their crunch, experiment with lightly roasting or steaming radishes instead of eating them raw. Cooking helps mellow their sharpness and reduces their acid-stimulating effect, making them gentler on your system. Drinking a glass of water with your meal and eating slowly can also help buffer your stomach and reduce acid buildup. And if you know you're especially sensitive, try pairing radishes with foods that are more soothing, like avocado, soft greens, or a little yogurt-based dressing. These small changes can help you continue to enjoy the flavors you love, without the discomfort or worry. Let me tell you about Roger, a 73-year-old grandfather from Missouri. Roger had always loved a radish salad with every Sunday lunch. But in recent years, he started noticing that familiar burning in his chest afterward, sometimes followed by an uncomfortable pounding of his heart. His daughter, a nurse, suggested he roast his radishes instead. He was skeptical, but after trying it, he was pleasantly surprised. The roasted radishes were milder, easier to digest, and he could once again enjoy his favorite dish without the side effects. His after-meal heart flutters disappeared, and so did the nagging worry that something was wrong. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. If you find yourself nodding along, take heart. Your body's small signals are simply reminders to take it easy and listen to what you need. Aging doesn't mean giving up the foods you love. It means enjoying them in ways that support your well-being. Every mindful choice you make helps keep your heart and your memories strong. Let each meal be a moment of joy, not discomfort, and know that you deserve to feel good, today and every day. 6. Cabbage can cause bloating and increase pressure on the heart. There's something almost nostalgic about cabbage. Maybe you remember the smell of cabbage soup simmering in your mother's kitchen, or the satisfying crunch of coleslaw at a summer barbecue. For many American seniors, cabbage brings back memories of family meals, potlucks, and favorite recipes handed down over generations. It's a food that feels hearty, simple, and wholesome. Just the sort of thing you'd expect to be good for you at any age. But have you ever noticed that after eating a generous serving of cabbage, whether boiled, braised, or raw, you start to feel unusually full, gassy, or even a little uncomfortable in your chest? Maybe you chalk it up to just getting older, or figure everyone feels a little bloated now and then. Maybe you even notice some extra swelling in your ankles or a heaviness when you try to get up and move after a big meal. It's easy to dismiss these feelings as minor annoyances, part of life, or something you can just push through. But what if your body is trying to tell you something important about the way it processes this humble vegetable? Here's what's going on, especially as we age. Cabbage, like other cruciferous vegetables, is high in fiber and complex carbohydrates that are tough for the digestive system to break down. While fiber is usually a good thing, in excess or when our digestion isn't as robust as it once was, it can ferment in the gut. This fermentation produces gas, leading to bloating, a stretched, uncomfortable stomach, and even pressure that radiates upwards, sometimes causing discomfort in the chest. For older adults, who may already be dealing with a slower digestive system or a sensitive heart, this pressure isn't just a nuisance. Bloating in the abdomen can push against the diaphragm and increase the workload on the heart, especially in people who already have heart conditions or high blood pressure. Science is beginning to understand just how closely our gut and heart are connected. When your body struggles to digest large amounts of cabbage, it's not just your stomach that pays the price. Extra gas and bloating can make it harder to breathe deeply and may even trigger mild heart palpitations or fatigue. For some seniors, these symptoms can sneak up slowly, turning a favorite dish into a source of hidden discomfort that limits their joy in eating. So what's the gentle, everyday solution? You don't have to say goodbye to cabbage entirely. Just approach it with a little more mindfulness. Start by enjoying smaller portions. Instead of filling your plate with cabbage, try using it as an accent or side dish alongside other, easier-to-digest vegetables like carrots or zucchini. Cooking cabbage well, by steaming, braising, or roasting, helps soften its fibers and makes it gentler on your digestive system. Adding a splash of vinegar or a sprinkle of caraway seeds to cooked cabbage is an old-fashioned trick that many grandmothers swear by, and it really can help ease digestion. Take the story of Helen, a 78-year-old from Pennsylvania who loved her grandmother's cabbage stew. As she got older, though, she found herself dealing with more bloating and a heavy feeling in her chest after eating it. At her daughter's urging, Helen started serving herself smaller portions, cooked the cabbage a little longer, and always paired it with other vegetables and a glass of water. The difference was like night and day. Her bloating vanished, her chest discomfort eased, and she felt free to enjoy her favorite meals again. If you're someone who's always loved cabbage but now finds it a little harder to handle, you're not alone. Aging means learning to listen to your body and honoring what it needs, without giving up the flavors and traditions you love. With a few simple tweaks, you can keep cabbage in your life, enjoyed in moderation, prepared with care, and always as part of a meal that leaves you feeling light, comfortable, and ready for whatever the day brings. Your heart and your memories deserve nothing less. 7. Raw onions. Promote inflammation in the body. Raw onions might not seem like much at first glance. A few crisp slices on a sandwich, some rings tossed into a salad, or a handful sprinkled over a burger at the family cookout. For many, the sharp, tangy flavor of raw onion is a comfort, a taste that reminds them of picnics in the park, summer barbecues, or those classic diner lunches with friends. Onions have always been a humble staple, a simple way to add a little zing to everyday meals. But have you ever noticed that after eating raw onions, you sometimes feel a burning in your stomach, a strange swelling in your hands or feet, or even a lingering soreness in your joints? Maybe you just accept it as a normal part of aging, thinking, my body just isn't what it used to be. It's easy to overlook these symptoms, especially when you've enjoyed onions for most of your life. But what if these little signs aren't just a coincidence? What if your body is quietly trying to tell you that something in those onions is stirring up more trouble than you realize? While onions are full of vitamins, antioxidants, and flavor, raw onions, especially when eaten in larger amounts, can act as a double-edged sword for seniors. Science now understands that raw onions contain compounds called organosulfur compounds. These are the very chemicals that give onions their powerful aroma and strong flavor. Unfortunately, in some people, especially those with sensitive digestive systems or mild arthritis, these compounds can irritate the gut lining, trigger a mild immune response, and contribute to low-level inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation is one of those silent problems that sneaks up on us as we age. At first, it might just mean a little joint stiffness, some unexpected puffiness in the ankles, or a stomach that feels unsettled after meals. Over time, though, chronic inflammation is linked to bigger problems: aching joints, fatigue, and even an increased risk of heart disease. The tricky part is that these symptoms are easy to blame on just getting older, so the connection to raw onions is often missed. What's the gentle, practical way forward? You don't have to ban onions from your kitchen. Instead, try making a simple change. Cook your onions before eating them. Sautéing, roasting, or simmering onions helps break down those harsh organosulfur compounds, making them much easier on your body and less likely to cause inflammation. You still get the sweet flavor and all the nutritional benefits, just without the hidden risk. And if you're someone who loves a bit of crunch or tang in your salad, try switching to milder alternatives like scallions, chives, or even a little cooked shallot. These still bring flavor to your meals, but are far gentler on your system. Let me share the story of Betty, a 72-year-old retired nurse from Georgia. Betty always enjoyed a big slice of raw onion on her sandwiches, until her hands started aching and she felt puffy after lunch. At her doctor's suggestion, Betty tried grilling her onions before adding them to her meals. The results were surprising. Her joint pain faded, and she no longer had that inflamed feeling after eating. "I didn't realize something so small could make such a difference," she told her friends, who soon started making the same change. If you recognize any of these signs in your own life, take it as a gentle reminder to listen to your body and make small adjustments that support your health. Getting older doesn't mean you have to give up the flavors you love. It simply means enjoying them in new, wiser ways. Remember, every little choice you make is a gift to your future self. With a bit of awareness and care, you can keep savoring your favorite meals while protecting your joints, your heart, and your well-being for years to come. 8. Spinach, also high in oxalates like beets. There's a certain comfort in starting your day with a spinach omelet or tossing fresh baby spinach into your lunchtime salad. For many American seniors, spinach has become the go-to green, praised by doctors and nutritionists for its iron, vitamins, and deep leafy color. Maybe you remember those old Popeye cartoons, or maybe you simply wanted to do right by your heart and bones. Spinach just seems like the healthiest, safest choice. But have you ever noticed a dull ache in your back, extra fatigue, or even some swelling in your hands and feet after what you thought was a super healthy meal? Maybe your doctor mentioned that your kidney function isn't quite what it used to be, or you've dealt with a kidney stone and never understood why. Most people shrug off these small discomforts, blaming age or thinking, "I'm just not as strong as I used to be." But what if there's something in your healthy routine that deserves a second look? Spinach, for all its virtues, is surprisingly high in natural compounds called oxalates, the very same found in beets. Oxalates are tiny crystals produced by plants to protect themselves from pests, but for the human body, especially as we age, these crystals can quietly pile up over time. When eaten in large amounts or too often, oxalates can build up in the kidneys, forming stones or making existing kidney function worse. What many don't realize is that excess oxalates can also encourage calcium deposits in blood vessels, slowly putting extra pressure on your heart and circulation. Science tells us that as we get older, our bodies become less efficient at flushing out oxalates. This means that the same spinach salad that helped you feel energetic at 50 might have a very different effect at 70. If you already have a family history of kidney stones, mild kidney disease, or just want to keep your heart in top shape, paying attention to oxalate-rich foods is more important than ever. So what's the gentle, easy solution? You don't have to give up spinach for good. The secret is moderation and a little kitchen know-how. Instead of eating spinach every single day, try rotating your greens. Enjoy arugula, romaine, or butter lettuce in your salads, and save spinach for 2 or 3 times a week. If you do love spinach, lightly cooking it, steaming or sautéing, can help reduce some of the oxalate content, making it less likely to cause trouble for your kidneys and heart. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day is another small change that can make a big difference. Staying hydrated helps your body flush out extra oxalates before they can settle in the kidneys. And if you're making a green smoothie, try mixing spinach with other low-oxalate greens and fruits, rather than using a heaping handful every time. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Let me share a story about Frank, a 75-year-old from Arizona. Frank loved his spinach. He ate it raw in salads, steamed as a side, and even mixed it into soups. But after 2 painful bouts with kidney stones and a warning from his doctor, he was forced to rethink his habits. With some help, Frank learned to alternate his greens, cooked his spinach instead of eating it raw, and made sure to drink more water. He found that he still felt strong and healthy, but those worrying aches and the risk of kidney stones faded away. Frank was grateful he didn't have to give up the foods he loved. He just learned how to enjoy them wisely. If you recognize your routine in this story, don't feel discouraged. Growing older means listening to your body, adjusting, and thriving in new ways. Remember, taking care of your heart and kidneys isn't about giving up everything you enjoy. It's about making simple, mindful choices that add up over time. You deserve to feel your best every day. So treat your body kindly, enjoy a variety of greens, and savor every meal with peace of mind and a healthy heart. 9. Green beans may cause allergic reactions or mild inflammation if overconsumed. Green beans have been a beloved staple at the American dinner table for generations. Maybe you remember snapping the ends off with your grandmother on the back porch, or bringing a big dish of green bean casserole to every Thanksgiving potluck. Their crisp snap, mild flavor, and beautiful green color seem to make them the perfect side dish for just about any meal. For many of us, green beans are tied to memories of home, family, and those little traditions that never quite fade. But have you ever finished a plate of green beans, especially when you've had a big helping or enjoyed them several days in a row, and noticed an odd feeling in your body? Perhaps you experienced some itching, swelling in your hands, or a tightness in your throat that left you a little uneasy. Maybe your joints felt stiff, or you had some unexpected stomach discomfort later on. Most people dismiss these as normal signs of aging or as reactions to something else on the plate. It can't be the green beans. They're supposed to be healthy, right? But what if even this wholesome vegetable could sometimes be too much of a good thing? While green beans are full of vitamins, fiber, and even a bit of protein, they also carry a lesser-known risk, especially when eaten in large amounts. For some seniors, green beans can quietly trigger mild allergic reactions or low-level inflammation in the body. It's not a full-blown allergy like peanuts or shellfish, but rather a sensitivity that builds up over time. Science tells us that some people have trouble breaking down certain proteins or plant compounds in green beans, leading to swelling, itchy skin, joint aches, or even a heavy feeling in the chest. And for those with already sensitive immune systems, even a little inflammation can be enough to leave you feeling less than your best. As we age, our bodies can become more sensitive to foods we once enjoyed without a second thought. The gut and immune system change, making us more likely to notice reactions, sometimes subtle, that we never did before. The trickiest part? Most people never suspect their favorite vegetables could play a part. Green beans, with their mild reputation, rarely get the blame. So what's the gentle, everyday solution? You don't have to give up green beans altogether. The key is moderation and paying attention to your body's signals. Instead of heaping your plate with green beans every night, try rotating them with other vegetables, carrots, peas, or even squash, to give your system a little variety and a break from any possible irritants. And if you love your green beans crisp and fresh, consider lightly steaming or sautéing them. Cooking can break down some of the compounds that trigger sensitivity and make green beans easier to digest. If you've ever had a mild itch in your mouth, swelling in your hands, or joint discomfort after a big meal of green beans, keep a food journal for a few weeks. You might be surprised at the patterns that emerge. Small changes, like eating green beans just a couple times a week and mixing up your sides, can make a world of difference. Let me tell you about Clara, a 77-year-old from Oklahoma, who always made a big pot of green beans every Sunday. Over time, she noticed her fingers swelling and her knees aching a bit more on Monday mornings. Her doctor suggested a little experiment. Swap out green beans for other vegetables for a while and see what happened. Clara was amazed at how much lighter she felt, how her aches faded, and how her energy returned. She still enjoys green beans, but now she sees them as a treat, not an everyday requirement. If you find yourself in Clara's story, take heart. Listening to your body and making small changes is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself as you age. You don't have to give up the foods you love, just learn to enjoy them wisely, in a way that supports your comfort and health. Every meal is another chance to care for yourself and honor the wisdom your body offers with each passing year. As we come to the end of this video, I want you to take a moment and reflect on everything we've talked about today. Sometimes, the foods we think are helping us stay healthy, those fresh vegetables that fill our plates, can quietly affect our bodies in ways we don't expect. From beets and spinach to fried potatoes and raw onions, each has its own story and hidden risks, especially as our bodies change with age. But here's the most important thing to remember. This isn't about fear or giving up the foods you love. It's about learning to listen to your body, understanding its signals, and making small, manageable changes that support your heart, kidneys, and overall well-being. You've spent a lifetime caring for yourself and your loved ones. Now it's time to give yourself the same kindness and attention. Making these gentle shifts, like moderating how often you eat certain vegetables, choosing cooking methods that reduce unwanted effects, and staying well hydrated, can help you feel lighter, stronger, and more energized. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Even little steps can add up to big improvements in your health and happiness. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these vegetables surprised you the most? Have you noticed any changes when you altered what you eat? Please share your experiences or questions in the comments below. Remember, this community is here to support each other on this journey toward better health. If you found this video helpful, please like it, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel for more tips tailored just for seniors. Together, let's keep our hearts strong and our lives full of joy. You deserve every healthy, happy moment ahead. Thank you for watching, and take good care of yourself.